How's everybody doing? Welcome back to Asshat Podcast on YouTube. And I got, kind of a comic for you. It's comic book size, as you can see. But it's a fanzine or comics magazine. This is Comics Arena. I've talked about this magazine before. I think I did a later issue of this a few months ago. This is issue number 2. And we got on the front cover here, we got Guy Gardner, Green Lantern. We got Superman. And we got the Black Hood. So that's kind of neat. We got an Archie character, who at the time was being published by DC's imprint Impact Comics with 2 DC characters. Now this, we got special Neil Adams Hybrids poster inserted, up-to-date news and interviews, comics, gaming, cards, toys, and much, much more. This was DC's JLA Black Hood artist Rick Burchett interviewed. And this came out, from what I remember, monthly. This is from '92. It was $3.50, which is a little expensive. It's a black and white, like I said, comics magazine. And we get, start off with a little news. We got Image is putting out Supreme. I can remember being excited as fuck for Supreme, and then read that first issue and was like, Came back later on. Matter of fact, years later when Alan Moore took over the title, read his run and loved it, and been slowly, and I've managed to get a complete run of every issue of Supreme and read about half of this pre-Alan Moore stuff, and it's actually pretty good. What we got here? Got a little editorial, of course. Got a table of contents. Little thing about Night Thrasher. Talking about the Nexus kit. This was a model kit. Nexus was a really popular Steve Rude drawn, Mike Baron written, if I remember, I think it's Mike Baron, comic in the 80s. Most people out there, if you go to a comic shop, if you're in comics, you know what Diamond is and Previews. That's the main company distributing comics. Now, back in the day, there was more than one distributor. When I was really hitting the comic shops back in the day, in the late 80s, early 80s, there was 2. There was Diamond and Capital City. Every comic shop I went to, I'm in the Deep South, used Capital City. I think that might have been because one of Capital City's hubs was like New Orleans. Well, Capital City back in the day actually published comics for a short while. One of them was Nexus, the other one was Badger, and they were supposed to publish Whisper. Well, Capital City Comics went under. All the titles got picked up by First, and then now Nexus is with Dark Horse last I seen. Badger was... It's been to Image. IDW did reprints of put a bunch of the old issues out in trades, and Whisper, been a bunch of different places. All right, what else we got? The Ferret. This is supposedly based on an old Golden Age character. This is from Malibu. It's part of their, I call it the Protector-verse, because the name of the series was the Protectors. They took a bunch of old public domain, Golden Age heroes that were published by companies that are gone, updated them for the modern day, and it was kind of, I don't know how many of y'all out there would know this. When Image first started off, they were a sub-imprint of Malibu. Malibu distributed them, but Image was its own thing. Well, after a few issues, Image left Malibu, and this was like Malibu's trying to start their own superhero universe in the early 90s boom, and it kind of got overshadowed by the Ultraverse. We got Simonson's Superman special. Walt Simonson did it. And Arctic Press presents SB Ninja High School. No idea. Grateful Dead debuts Hunter/Truman's Eagle Mall. Let's see, what is that? Okay. This August, Grateful Dead Comics issue number 6 will premiere the first of a 4-part visualization of an unperformed lyrical suite by the Grateful Dead lyricist Robert Hunter, as visualized by artist Tim Truman, called Eagle Mall. Hunter wrote it in 1968 through 1969, intended to be performed by the Dead. I love Tim Truman's artwork, so I'm going to checking that out. What else we got? Lobo and his Blazing Chain of Love one-shot. Topps Comics with their adaptation of Francis Ford Coppola's Dracula movie. Azrael joins Batman in a miniseries. Yeah, this is back when Azrael first appeared. Nobody really thought shit about it. Joe Quesada's drawing. Joe Quesada at the time was a nobody. Then Azrael takes over for Batman not too long after this. AC Alert in August. AC Comics publishes FemForce and reprints a lot of good Golden Age stuff. Femina, Dream Girls by Caliber. Never heard. Oh, here we go. Veitch brings you the Maxi Mortal. Rick Veitch. Probably best known as he was an artist on the Alan Moore Swamp Thing run. Then he took over writing and drawing the title after Moore left, and ended up, he was doing a story about Swamp Thing traveling back in time. So you could kind of include, because DC has a history, a good history, back history of characters from different time periods, and Swamp Thing was going back in time and meeting up with these characters. Well, there was an issue that DC agreed to publish, and then didn't, where Swamp Thing would go back and meet Jesus when he was being crucified. Well, when they said they weren't going to publish it, Rick Veitch was like, fuck you guys, left and created his own kind of universe called the King Hell Heroica stuff. Brat Pack's probably the best known out of all of it. Is a little 4-issue miniseries. Maxi Immortal was like his version of the Superman story, but also kind of him, like a message from him to comic book creators going, look, don't let the companies fuck you over. It's kind of the story of Joe Simon and the guys that created Superman. I can't believe I can't remember the name. Joe Simon and I can't think of the name right now. But great little miniseries. Quick shout out. I don't know if you're watching this or not. Jeff, from the former owner of Lynn's Comics in Nederland, Texas, sold me the first issue of Maxi Immortal when he should have been asking $5 for $1. Great series. Now it's really gory, really violent, but it's not what people call grimdark. There's a point behind it. There is a trade that's fairly easy to find of that. That's kind of neat seeing that. I haven't looked at this thing in a long time. The Hamsters Bat, that's adolescent black belt radioactive hamsters, which was kind of a rip-off of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Tundra's putting out another sketch, but Tundra was the company formed by Kevin Eastman. I had to think for a second. Kevin Eastman of Ninja Turtles fame, to put out like independent stuff and try to get more press out there for indie stuff. It didn't do real well. Sudden Impact, like I said, Impact basically was DC, a sub-imprint from DC where they took a bunch of the old Golden Age Archie characters, or MJL back in the day, or MLJ, I don't remember which way it goes. Like the Black Hood and the Comet and all these characters, and put them, modernize them. Fairly well-written stuff. I've read a few issues from each. The Wild West Cowboys of Moo Mesa. This was an anthropomorphic cartoon, and there was a comic book from Archie based on the cartoon. It's set back in the Old West. These cows, part human, and they fight crime. I've got an issue of the comics somewhere. Guy Gardner with his own little solo series. Pete Cannon as Thunderbolt. Now, this was a Charlton character, if I'm remembering right, that DC had the rights to for a while, and somehow they lost them. Howard Chaykin returns to Iron Wolf. Howard Chaykin. Trying to think what people he did best known for. He did the cover and most of the first issue of Marvel's Star Wars comic. And then American Flag from first. Black Kiss, which was one of the very first adult comic that wasn't just pure titillation. Onyx Overlord and Alien Legion coming out from Epix. Alien Legion, great series. Imagine the French Foreign Legion in outer space. That's what it is. Great, well-written series. Larry Stroman got some of his first comics work there. Wallace Weiss, I've never heard. Wallace Portacio, Wetworks, X Factor getting the first up. Onyx Overlord, if I remember right, is a Mobius thing. Mobius, the artist. Oh, this shows you a Valiant Dark Horse crossover. Madness Robot Fighter versus Predator. Now, this is kind of an interesting thing because it was only 2 issues. And there's a trade that got published. If you find that trade, grab that thing. It is worth a decent amount of cash, like $50 to $60 for a trade, because there wasn't that many done. Zen Comics, Zen Intergalactic Ninja. Simon Bisley's Dread, which is, of course, is Judge Dredd. Eclipse, Clive Barker, and Dan Brereton. Cry for Dawn, the documentary. I don't think that ever came out. Modern Mayhem for Gauntlet Comics. Never heard of Gauntlet. This is the Rick Burchett interview. He was the Black Hood artist at the time. Fairly interesting interview from what I remember. He did some work at DC also. And the Black Hood, basically, it's kind of... Archie has brought the Black Hood back in their Dark Circle imprint, which is kind of their mature audiences, like teenagers to adults, revamping of their heroes, setting them regular world. This Hood is just a piece of cloth that whoever finds is compelled to fight crime, but they have no powers. They're just kind of like the Punisher in a way. Very interesting series. And then we got, of course, our releases. We got, some Cerebus, the Aardvark. We got some Art Adams artwork on a Godzilla issue, which is, I'm sure, from Dark Horse. And look at all these companies. Most of these companies ain't even around anymore. Comics, not around. Aardvark, Menahalem, they're around a little bit. Absolute, not around. AC Comics, still around. Acid Rain, nope. Allied, nope. All Pro Sports, nope. All Star Comics, nope. Antarctic Press is still around. Apple, I'm pretty sure, is gone. Archie is still around. Bates Publishing, nope. I'm just going to name the ones I definitely know are still around. Ooh, damn. Dark Horse, DC. Disney is still around, but they're not their own company anymore. Most of their stuff, if I remember right, is published by Boom or IDW, which is weird because they own Marvel. Eclipse gone, Drawing Quarterly. I don't think they're around. Fantaco. I wish Fantaco was still around. They put out some good stuff. Fantagraphics is still around. One of the best independent companies out there. Fantagraphics sub-imprint Monster, which was this talking about? Cabinet of Dr. Caligari. And Freaks. I have Freaks, Felix Comics, Fleetway, which Fleetway Quality basically was a company in the States that reprinted stuff from 2000 AD. That's how Judge Dredd got over here to the States. We got Celebrity Comics, humor, personality. Those were all over and not worth shit. Gay Comics, yes, Gay Comics. They only put out this one title called Gay Comics. It was homosexual, gay, lesbian, queer, whatever term you prefer. I don't think any of them are considered offensive now. If I use one that is, I apologize. They put out an anthology title. I think it came out 5-6 times a year, and most of the artists or writers were homosexuals, gays, whatever term you prefer. Harvey Comics, look at this. Casper, Richie Rich, and another Richard. Hero Graphics gone. Innovation put out some good stuff, but sadly is not around anymore. John Brown, Malibu, and this is back when they had all these different imprints. Adventure Comics, Aircell, Eternity, Image, look, Image. Brigade, number blah, blah, blah. Malibu, and then Marvel. And then, this is our Art Adams Hybrids poster. That's from Continuity. And what I liked about this Comics Arena, or I think it maybe got retitled just Arena Magazine later, they focused more on the non-Big Two stuff, which a lot of companies weren't. Epic, which was an imprint of Marvel. Millennium, which the only thing I really remember from Millennium is they did Doc Savage for a while. Mirage, which is technically still around, but they've sold all the rights to the Ninja Turtle stuff to Nickelodeon, even though they've retained the right to publish up to 4 or 5 issues a year of their version of the Ninja Turtles. Mew Press, which put out a lot of anthropomorphic comics. I've gotten a few issues in various random lots. Okay, New England Comics, which is best known for The Tick. Nightwind, which, if I remember right, was kind of like Barry Blair. Fuck that piece of shit. Company after he left Aircell. Now Comics put out some great stuff. They actually got newsstand distribution, and a lot of those licensed titles. That's where the Terminator started. They did Married to Children. They did Speed Racer. They did a Ghostbusters series based on the cartoons. A lot of really good stuff. Parody Press. Rebel Studios. The only thing I really remember Rebel Studios for is they did Faust. Revolutionary Comics. This is one that did the rock and roll comics that was popular as hell for a while and kind of hard to find, and now nothing. And there's a documentary about it because the creator of Revolutionary Comics was murdered. Ripoff Press, which, from talking to somebody I know who did some work for them, don't ever work for Ripoff Press, they won't pay you. Russ Cochran, this is back when Russ Cochran was doing reprints of all the old EC stuff. Sky Comics, Slave Labor, who I think is still around. They're probably best known for Johnny the Homicidal Maniac. Tundra, Valiant, Zen, Warp Graphics, Elfquest. Viz, who I'm pretty sure is still around. Back then they were best known for, and they're probably still for bringing manga over to the States and translating it back when manga came out in issues like this instead of those trades. Blue Line presents How To. This is like an art column, kind of like how in Wizard magazine at the same time you had Bart Sears' Brute and Babe, where he showed you how to draw. This is talking about how Tim Burton was named as the director of the Flintstones movie. Yeah, that didn't happen. List of comics coming out soon. Then we got reviews of some comics coming out. We got Deathstroke the Terminator, who, if you don't read comics or you're kind of new comics and you know the Teen Titans cartoon, he's known as Slade and that. We got Green Lantern Mosaic. This was the John Stewart Green Lantern. The Green Lantern that, if you watch the Justice League cartoon or Justice League Unlimited, that's that Green Lantern. He was... In this series, there's a kind of a patchwork plan that's made up of people from all over the universe, and he was kind of like the police force. Really interesting series that didn't do shit. Namor, back when, I think that's when John Byrne was working on it. We got ElfQuest. Got some previews of the Pandora Pill. Never heard of it. August is Image Comics month. We got, what is this? The back cover to Image number 2, or the front cover, which Shadowhawk, Jim Valentino's creation. Wildcats, which seem to be kind of forgotten. Of course, Wildcats, created by Jim Lee, got sold to DC and formed the Wildstorm imprint, which put out some really good stuff in the late 90s. Supreme. Then we got Spawn, of course, but then we got Tribe by Larry Stroman, which If the stories I've heard are true, only one issue of Tribe came out through Image and sold so many copies that Larry Stroman's pretty much retired. And it's one of those that any cheap comic book store you go to and look in the cheap bins, they're going to have copies of Tribe #1. So the next 2 issues that came out for different company are harder to find. Got a little thing on Eastman and Laird returning to the Ninja Turtles with issue number 50, City at War, part 1 of 13. Wow. I actually sat down a few years ago and through finding copies in cheap bins and, yes, comic scans, I've read the entire first volume of the Mirage Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle series. Didn't read the second one, but read the fourth? The last one that Mirage did, read all but the last couple of issues. That really good stuff. It's not just, goofy turtles fighting ninjas. They went all kinds of places. Then we got a thing about the Batman Returns. There's a point counterpoint on what is it? Thesis: movies adapted into comic books are useless attempts to capitalize on the popularity of a certain film and are in no way worth the paper they're printed on. I kind of agree with that. Even though sometimes some of these movie adaptation comics have scenes in them that are not in the film that were either deleted or never made it past the scripting stages. So that's kind of neat. Like Superman 4: The Quest for Peace, the comic has a bunch of stuff in that was never in the film. Industry news: Youngblood comic share wars heat up. Battle Royal for summer dollars breaks down. Talking about how, thanks to Youngblood and other titles, Image was doing really good. Bill Gaines, remember, Bill Gaines is the guy who ran EC during its most popular period. New CEO at Mayfair. Marvel asks Image to observe copyrights. Warp Graphics warns ElfQuest tapes are illegal. We got a trading card thing. Never collected any series. I wouldn't mind having that Tick series though. Hellraiser. I've actually picked up a few of those. Image. Toy news. Hasbro takes control of the Conan license. This would be the Conan the Adventurer. Yes, Conan the Adventurer, the animated series. There were some toys made for that. They're really nice toys. Even though probably the best Conan figures I've ever seen were put out by McFarlane Toys. Or as they were known back during this era, Todd Toys. Great stuff. Gaming news. Wizard of the Coast. It's back when Wizard of the Coast was actually publishing like RPGs. Yeah. Role-playing games, not just Magic. And this is a Tarzan series by Matt Wagner and Walt Simonson from Malibu. This is where Dark Horse got the license. And it looks like, Walt Simonson's doing the art, it looks like, and Matt Wagner's writing. Matt Wagner from Grendel and Mage, which we're finally, the 3rd volume of Mage is coming out as I'm recording this right now, people. Great stuff. Track it down and read it. But even Grendel's a damn good series. Both kind of got fucked over when Kamiko went under. Now, I'm pretty sure, I think I talked about this last time I reviewed an issue of this magazine, that Sky Comics is the same company that does this magazine, because they get a lot of press in here. Jerry's top 10 reasons. Top 10 things that will never be seen in comics again. Number 10, heroes getting their powers from being bitten by a radioactive member of the animal kingdom. Number 9, only one comic title per month featuring a semi-popular character. Number 8, the good version of the Justice League. Blah ha 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 ha. That's kind of funny. Okay, number 7, Alan Moore. Well, you're wrong, because Alan Moore is still, as of right now, doing comics. Mostly for Avatar, but he's still out there. Number 6, comics under $1. Well, there has been some 10-cent comics and some specials that are only under $1. But yeah, true, most comics are $5 now. Number 5, Guy Gardner's Mind. Number 4, a quality Fantastic Four story. Oh, that's actually happened. Number 3, Lex Luthor 1. I don't know if Lex Luthor 1 has appeared since then. Number 2, any reference to North Star's homosexuality. Yeah, that's been referenced. And then number 1, the original Bucky. This is, of course, before Bucky came back as Winter Soldier, which there's a saying back in the day amongst comic fans that in comics, the only people that stay dead are Uncle Ben and Bucky. Well, Bucky's back, so Uncle Ben's the only one that stayed dead. Top 10 actors who would really play Batman better than Michael Keaton. Number 10, Steven Seagal. Number 9, Hart Bosher, the geek who gets blown away in Die Hard. Okay. Number 8, Brandon Lee. So this is before The Crow came out. Number 7, Brian Brown. Who's Brian Brown? FX. Yeah, and he's in Cocktail with Tom Cruise. David Copperfield, Charlie Sheen, Kevin Costner, Andy Garcia, Pierce Brosnan, and Mel Gibson. And none of them, as far as I know, ever played Batman. Some more stuff about Sky. And they also seem to have some connection with Comics Interview, because they mention them a lot of it. I know this ran a little long, but that Sky Cards portfolio, that's Comics Arena. I love finding these old magazines like this because it gives you a little peek at what was going on in the comic industry back before the internet days. This, back in the day, this is how you got your news. Either you read this kind of stuff, and there was Comic Buyer's Guide, there was, Wizard, of course, there was the Comics Journal, there was others, but that was like the big three. And then you had ones like this. Well, sorry, Amazing Heroes was another one. You either got it through this, or you hung out at the comic shop and talked to people and found out. Now, you just go online and find everything. But that's that. That's it for this episode. Hope you enjoyed this. If you did, give me a thumbs up, leave a comment, subscribe, all the other bullshit. Talk to everybody later. Bye-bye.